Can you recognize that he made sure to come up to the live stream and inquire when we were going to be out here so that he could come out here when we're here to talk to us, right? Or to, for some reason, I don't know. I made an assumptive statement.
Oh, I'm honest, I have no idea like that aspect of
No, I'm saying we're part Muslims, sure. But you made mention.
You might be number 2, sure.
You made, I'm not tripping. You made mention before today that you wanted to know when we were out here, date and time, so that you could come see us. You had a reason. What was the reason?
Something about what Mark talking about. They may convert Christians, that's why.
You have God saying that non-Israelites can be circumcised and then participate. Yeah, y'all can look it up. Check it. So it's Exodus chapter 12, verse 48 and 49 is what I read. Exodus 6 is this. In terms of Israelites and the nation, it seems clear that even going to the Old Covenant, God had provisions for non-Israelites to be circumcised and then participate in the Passover. Now, going to preach the full gospel and making disciples of all nations. So if somebody is out here saying that all nations can't be made disciples of, then that person is not fulfilling what it means to be a light to the nations for a modern day Israelite.
And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee,
And all the things that come upon you, read
the blessing
and
the curse, which I have set before thee.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Most High thy God hath driven thee.
And we're going to call these things to mind amongst all the nations where God has driven us. Say it again.
Jesus said to the Pharisees, right? He said, they like, we're of Abraham. He's like, no, you're of your father, the devil. You know what I'm saying? Because those dudes relied upon their lineage being descendants from Abraham to be like, oh yeah, we good.
That?
Yeah, you gotta prove.
Can you prove what? No. Can you prove that when he says you're of your father, the devil, that was because they were relying on their lineage? I'd have to believe that these strangers you're mentioning in Exodus are actually non-Israelites. Because listen,
Exodus 12?
In Exodus 12, because it speaks of another stranger that can't eat the Passover at all.
That's what means, man.
Me and you, we did.
Stranger who
is that
you gonna let him read the Bible? You gonna let him read the Bible?
Well, he can't come and interrupt me in the midst of my speech having a conversation with another man. Bring that out, bro. This is crazy. Read that in Exodus 12, and then get who.
The same question.
Can he come in and take over the conversation just because he has a Bible
verse? He wants to fall back. You hear him say that? He said he wants to fall back.
No. He said when he's done, then he's going to try to pass it to him.
Fall back.
And I countered that to say I'm more comfortable having a conversation with you. That's my answer.
Yeah, but this is why we want to talk to him.
You see what I'm saying? Like, we want to talk to him.
Okay, that's your man.
No,
he's an Israelite according to your chart.
Can you understand about how I rather have a conversation?
Everybody,
Can you understand why I'd rather have a conversation with you?
I mean, but you don't have nobody in your camp that
You're just afraid. You're pretending like I was making some kind of pervert sexually and most likely morally in regards to the situation.
I'm a sexual pervert?
I actually meant to say moral pervert. But I was thinking about the Passover. I'm sorry.
So here's the thing. I can't tell a white man that I'm a slice his throat, but he can come up here and call me a sexual pervert.
I was thinking about the Passover.
Here's the thing. You're slipping up. You're having a slip of the tongue because you're not even coming up here in sincerity. You don't want to teach me something. You want to come up here and be an asshole.
Did you say?
You just showed me. You just showed me what I said. Again, don't try and run from you falsely accusing me as a sexual fucking pervert.
Well, you were
what are you talking about?
The Passover, weren't you?
I was at the Passover. Absolutely.
Were there girls with assless chaps there or not?
Absolutely.
And that's your Passover?
No, this wasn't the Passover. This is a post-Passover party.
Just like the Hebrews of old did. They're like, all right, Passover's over. Strip.
No,
Passover's over.
Wait. But here's the thing. Were you there? Do you know what happened?
I saw the video.
No.
You were there. Wait. Did you? You apologized, didn't you?
Wait. Because what happened offended a lot of people.
No, not because it was morally wrong.
No. Not because it was morally wrong. Listen. No, let me explain. Because it most definitely misrepresented what we were supposed to be doing.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh,
if we did something,
Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakaha, Quadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Also, a sincere shalom to you other elders, you Akim, you brethren, you few sisters, and you followers of the truth. And let me mainly say shalom to the elect. I want to go into this video here that I came across with the Sakari Israelites and the VOCAB Malone, who have made another appearance appearance of embarrassment of himself and his crew. And I can't understand all this energy that they come up to these different camps calling themselves the defenders, street defenders, the apologetics, and whatever they call themselves. And it's because the low-class Christianity, that's the best way I can put it. He calls the brother a pervert, right? And he understands Christianity, this Christianity anyway, even going back to the Roman Catholics, what that's built on. I'm not going to go into that, but maybe he should do videos on that and go into that. So, I want to go into this word corrupt or pervert means to cause to turn aside or away from what is good or true. So we can call Jake that scoffs, and anybody that calls a scoffer, we can call them perverts. To take away something that's morally right and what's true. Corrupt. To divert the wrong end or purpose. To misuse. To misinterpret. That's pretty much what it means. Another definition is one given to some form of sexual perversion, right? Of being perverted, an aberrant sexual practice or interest, especially when habitual. So, alright, they call the man a pervert, whatever. But we know the corrupt Christian church, the Roman Catholic Church, and the perversion that's in those churches. So, this is those guys, man. They just came up, nothing else to do. Now, I believe, I can't remember the other Jake's name that he was dealing with, that I think the apostles dealt with him, and he had more sincerity. He's like in a different class than these other guys. And then you got Sam Shimon with his personal issues and his addictions and everything else that's going on with him. I'm not going to, he's already put his business out there about how his wife pretty much left him and dumped him for someone else, and I mean, this is what he brought out. So these guys, David Woods, we already understand his perversion. He tried to kill his father and hammer him to death. And then he claimed to turn to Christianity, but then he rips pages out of the Quran and chews it and eat it. So, these guys, they got some issues going on. So anyway, I'm going to go into the lesson. We're going to go into a couple things he went into. And first I'll say also, VOCAB Malone says that the brother was, we went through this thing with the Passover. The young brother of Sakari said, hey, I repented. And that's what it is, and you haven't heard anything about it. But VOCAB will side with other Hebrew Israelites that he doesn't even like to bring into play as if he was a Hebrew Israelite trying to condemn him. This is the sickness of VOCAB. And the thing about VOCAB, he's not even an Israelite. He doesn't even practice the law, statutes, and commandments. So why does he even care? Why do you even care? He's like, oh, you polluted the Sabbath. I mean, the Passover. You polluted the Passover, and he don't even keep the Passover. So how can you tell a man that pollutes the Passover, and you not even keeping the Passover? Matthew 7:1, judge not that ye be not judged. The scripture says, he that is spiritual judgeth all things. Let no man of himself be judged. So if you can't go in here, and this is talking about the Israelites too, by the way. And let me go into that too. Because this was the argument about the strangers and the Christian thing. You taking the way the power, trying anyway. The Most High had everything set up, the promises, and everything. It ain't like the Most High was already some years later decided, you know what? I'm going to give the promises to these people because I love them. But when they mess up, I'm going to just give the promises to everybody. He says, I'm the Alpha and Omega, man, the beginning and the end. The Most High knows everything, as if the Israelites, that was the first time they had the promise. That promise was reiterated. They already was promised from day one.
to be chosen. He created to be a special people. Deuteronomy 7:6. Anyway, this brother brought this out on the stranger. Leviticus 25 and 35. I don't know if I'm in the right interpretation. Sometimes these interpretations, Leviticus 25 and 35. And if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him, yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee. So this is telling you that I went into this in several lessons. You have homographs. There's words that spell the same, but they have different meanings and appliance to different texts of doctrine. Like when you say, hey, I'm going to run a race, you actually know what that word race is applying to, somebody who's running down the street. This is not going to apply to the same race. It's talking about your genealogy. Okay? So you get that to understand. Let's go to 1 Peter 1:1, which I went into this yesterday. Peter, an apostle of Yahushua, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. So who are these strangers? Well, the word stranger in the blue letter, G3927. One who comes from a foreign country into a city or land to reside there by the side of the natives, which we understand that Timotheus' father was calling himself a Greek. Titus was also being called Greek, which I believe Titus was one of the first ones that Apostle Paul took under his wing, right? If I'm not mistaken. Stranger, and it also says sojourning in a strange place, a foreigner. So a lot of these scriptures that Paul was speaking, he was reiterating from the Old Testament, right? In the New Testament, in a reference to heaven as the native country, one who sojourns on earth. So really this stranger, when you see the sojourner, which we just read in Leviticus 25 and 35, we understand that it would be Israelites of, it says right here, just like Acts 2 and 5 when it says the Israelites out of every nation under heaven, right? One who comes from a foreign country into a city or land. So everybody think the Israelites is only going to be in one place, just as today they're not in one place, and just as today we calling ourselves African Americans, American. If they put me in a book, they would say this such and such African American, or this such and such black African American, or Marylander, or so forth. So let's go to it says Paul and the other apostles, Paul and the apostle of Yahushua, Jesus, to the stranger and scattered throughout Pontus. So this word scattered, we look at this word scattered, G1290, and this would have lit them up, man. And I'll say this, I watched the whole video, pretty much I couldn't take my eye off it, and they got dismantled, man. They got swept. If this was a series of basketball, man, they would have been swept because they had no answers, man. Then the guy stood up, and the other guy with the beard, the older Jake, I don't know if he a Jake, but he stood up and he looked like Issachar, or he might be something else, I don't know. Then Sam, the Babylonian Shamoon, he started getting all irate and crazy. Then VOCAB Malone, he gets irate and crazy because they was getting hurt by the scriptures. They really got swept. They ought to feel really embarrassed. But you know what? The apostles of Great Millstone stood there with them. And the people on the comment board was learning the history. They would listen to Apostle Tahar and say, yeah, man, we learned a lot from just his lessons. And what VOCAB and them is doing is they're creating a new platform out of the Hebrew Israelites. On their pages, they'll say, Lord willing, God willing. They'll say all the things that we say. They'll take a little bit from each group, take a little bit and learn a little bit, study, which they haven't never done, and they're sticking to the stranger thing, right? All right, it's where scattered says, a scattering, dispersion, That word scatter in 1 Peter 1:1 means diaspora. It says of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations, and you can't get around that. That's the same word as Acts 6:1 when it talk about the Grecians. Don't come up trying to kick Galatians 3:28. That word, when you go to Galatians 3:28, that word that is talking about is Israelites well, let's get that real quick. That's actually talking about Israelites, even though the blue letter seems to be going off. It says in a wider sense non-Jews, because you had our people who didn't want to consider themselves Jews. You got to remember, this whole Bible was strictly for the Israelites, and it's telling the stories of the heathens and other nations that partake in our story, but it's all about the Israelites. Why is Apostle Paul written in the book of Romans? Come on now. That word in Jew nor Greek in Galatians 3:28 is Hellene. When you go to Galatians 6:1, so when you see Hellene, that's Greek. When you see Greek, the definition is Hellene. When you see Grecian, that definition is Hellenistes. Right? Hellenistes. It says a Greek, either by nationality, whether native or mainland, or of the Greek islands of the colonies. In a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews, that made the language, the customs, and the learning of the Greeks their own. Now, why does it say that? Because when you go into Galatians, when you go into Acts 6:1, it says the Israelites, it says Hellenistes. It says it's talking about basically Israelites that made Greek their tongue. The Hellenized Jews. So right here, in a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews, that made the language and customs and the learning of the Greeks. Just like you would have people today who understand being an Israelite, brothers today, and some sisters that know they're Israelites, but then you got people who saying, no, I'm not an Israelite, I'm an American, or I'm African. So that this definition would apply to them, even though the lineage of them were still Israelites. Okay? So as we see these debates and as we study more and as we go, which we already know, but as there's still things that we keep, myself, let me say that I keep learning as I keep doing these videos and keep going into the words. And I see, the brighter end of the story, which is the truth. And we know we have the truth, and we know we have the 100% truth. Okay? So VOCAB, that was just my take on this thing. He said, would you trust an Edomite? This is what he keeps saying. Would you trust an Edomite? Would you trust an Edomite? That is easy. That is easy. I wish he would come to us and say that. Would you trust an Edomite? We trust in the Lord. When a man's ways please the Lord, he makes his enemies to be at peace with him. So when an Edomite does something for you or help you in some form or way, it's from the Spirit of the Lord. Straight like that, as they used to say, straight like that. man's goings are of the Lord, but in the spirit of one, no. But the Spirit of the Most High guiding or helping one to help you, just to help you, yeah, that's possible. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the Lord will make them help you, because it's for you. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.